Welcome to the Stack Card interview with Sheldon Goldberg. We're back to our old theme song. I'm Matt. That's our co-host Kevin.
Thank you.
Back.
We're back for another edition of the interview series. And yeah, we're really lucky to have Sheldon on the show today. Sheldon Goldberg is the owner and promoter of New England Championship Wrestling, NECW. They're a pretty amazing promotion. I did get to see their event, Bash 15, which I think was September.
Yeah.
You ended up missing it. You had a wedding to attend to, but it was a fantastic event. They were actually lined up to have an event, was it this Saturday, right? Unwrapped.
December 12th. It was supposed to be in Beverly this Saturday, Unwrapped. And I know Graka was going to be there.
Yeah.
The NECW champion McCarthy too.
Yeah.
So
Toto Loco, the television champion. They're gonna have a fatal 4-way for the tag team titles. They had a completely stacked event, stack card, if you will. But due to some difficulties, the event will not be held this week. It's gonna be postponed. So,
but because it's postponed, I'm sure it's gonna be even better than.
Yeah.
It's probably going to give back, the show itself will be even better because it's more time to prepare, more time to think about things. And as you go on, ideas come into your head like, oh, what if you did this during your match? So I'm okay with that. You know, I mean, I would have liked to seen them since I grew up watching NECW. Like, it's crazy. I was 9 years old. I used to... Being from Everett, God, I'm from Everett. I used to go down Glendale Park and watch it on the 4th of July because my dad would DJ down there. I wasn't even watching my dad DJ. I was over watching the
wrestling,
the Royal Rumbles, the Battle Royals. They, I think, the Easter Bunny got chased almost to the back of Walgreens, out of the park, or it could have been the Panda Bear actually. So many great people I know have wrestled from them, like Sam Amato and a couple other people. And we've met new people, too.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
At your last show, right?
Oh, yeah.
September.
Slick Wagner-Brown, he was the champion, but Mike McCarthy's now the champ. Brad Hollister, he's a really amazing wrestler, really good technical style wrestler. Chris Pyro, he's a really good wrestler too.
And Fox Vineyard as well.
Fox Vineyard, our good
Chris
friend.
Chris Pyro has been at the past few Beyond events as well.
Yeah.
I think he's involved with the Crusade for Change.
Really?
He might be.
You're involved with the Crusade for Change.
I am. So it's just kind of great that we get to interview Sheldon today, the owner and promoter. The company started in 2000. Just really cool, one of my favorite independent shows to watch, and I haven't been able to get out to an event in a couple of years, so kind of wish I got to see it this weekend, but I know we'll be with them, and we're going to talk to the man himself who runs it, so
all right,
let's get him on the phone.
Okay.
Hey Sheldon, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you guys doing?
Doing
great.
Pretty awesome. Thanks for coming on.
A pleasure, as always.
So we just gave you a little bit of an introduction here on the program. As we mentioned, you are the owner-promoter of NECW, New England Championship Wrestling, and you started the promotion up in 2000.
That's correct.
Yep. And unfortunately, we were talking about how there was an event scheduled for this Saturday, which we were hoping to attend and promote for. It was going to be Unwrapped. And do you want to just give us the update on what's going on?
It's a couple of things. We're having some issues with our website. Apparently, people, depending on what type of device you're using, you can't get onto it. And of course, if you can't get onto our website, you can't buy tickets in advance for the event. So we thought we had an issue with that on our last event, and so we didn't want to take any chances, and we decided that it was better to put it off than, to try to run the event and risk, people not being sure if it was on or if they could buy tickets or not. So we just thought it was business-wise the best thing to do, and the last thing we want to do is cancel or postpone a show, but sometimes it does happen, and we regret it, but we have a lot to look forward to in the coming year, and looking forward to what we're going to be bringing to people in 2016.
Has there been an official date scheduled yet for the next show, or is it still very much a work in progress depending on technical issues?
We are right now in the process of nailing down a fair portion of our 2016 schedule. You guys, last time we saw you guys was in Everett, am I correct?
Yeah, that was for Bash 15.
Right, and almost right after that, the city of Everett decided that they were no longer going to make the Everett Rec Center available for rentals.
Oh.
And they pulled all the dates that we had set up going forward, and that kind of put us in a difficult spot. So, we had hoped that we were going to be able to run Everett into 2016. That's not going to be the case. But when we do make our announcement, it will be coming soon. We're going to be appearing in a wider geographic area than we were appearing in before, and we're really looking forward to that. So, a lot of good things are coming up. Just hang tight. It's all around the corner.
That's great. And you guys, do you think you'll be totally done with Everett now, or are you looking for another location within Everett? Because I know there is there's a hall down on Chelsea Street, but I'm not sure if they rent it out. I believe it's the Armory. Yep. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that Armory. I do know that the rec center is out because they're not. There's a couple of stories we're hearing. Mm-hmm. One story is that they're going to sell it to the Malden YMCA.
Wow.
The other story is that they're going to tear it down and build a new police station.
Oh, wow.
But they got rid of everyone. They let everyone go that works in that rec center, and apparently they're going to do something with it, and no one is 100% sure of what that is. So it's regretful. We're going to try to find a location that's as close to that as we can get. We are going to be opening up a lot of new areas. So, it's New England Championship Wrestling, not Everett Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, good point.
We are going to be in a lot of different places, and we're looking forward to that.
Yeah,
that's great.
I know at Bash 15 you also mentioned another strategy for expanding the audience in the market, which was the return television for NECW. So do you want to discuss that television deal and where fans can watch NECW?
Right. We're going to be back on television probably in April. This whole thing with Everett kind of threw a lot of our plans off in terms of timing, because without a venue, you can't shoot television.
Yeah.
So we will be back on Cozy TV, which was where we were before, and we'll also be appearing on WZME TV in New York. So we'll be able to be seen in pretty much all of Western Connecticut into New York City. So we're very excited about that as well.
Yeah, that should be great. Just especially for certain fans, especially New York or Connecticut, when they can't make the venture over to the Massachusetts area. Just a very intelligent business decision to do that, and it's great that ECW's back on TV where you belong.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. We miss it. We miss being on TV. And while we do have programming on YouTube that we do on a regular basis, we're looking forward to getting back on broadcast television. And, a lot of people miss us. In fact, it's funny, I go certain places, and that's the first thing that people ask me is, when are you going to be back on television? We missed the show. So, there's that percentage of people that don't watch anything on YouTube. They just want to see it on on a regular TV. So,
Yeah.
so we're looking forward to that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely markets for both, so definitely want to make sure you can capture both areas.
Exactly.
So now, just looking back at the origins of NECW, it did originate in 2000. Do you want to tell us sort of what the path was and how NECW came about?
Well, prior to that, I worked with the late Boston bad boy Tony Rumble. He had a company around here originally it was called the Century Wrestling Alliance, and then it became NWA New England. And we worked very closely together. We were partners in that, actually. And he passed away in November of 1999. And in the fallout of all of that, his widow took over the company, and it really didn't last a whole lot longer after that. It lasted maybe, at least in the incarnation that it was, about 6 months to a year. I mean, it did run beyond that with other people running it. But basically what it was, without Tony, it just wasn't going to continue in that form. And I had made the decision at the urging of some friends of mine, one in particular by the name of Scott Dickinson, who was a former referee for WCW, to start my own promotion. And that's how New England Championship Wrestling came about. And we're still here.
Yeah, it's definitely remarkable. You guys have definitely made a big impact on the wrestling scene, and definitely one of the largest promotions here on the East Coast. So, that's terrific.
It's been an interesting ride, and a lot of interesting things have taken place. When NECW started in 2000, think about this: there was a WWF, there was a WCW, there was an ECW. I want to say I believe the USWA was still in the last throes of its existence. So think about today and how different the pro wrestling landscape is now versus in the year 2000. And it's really sort of been it's almost a completely different business. In fact, in a lot of ways, it is a completely different business. So it's been an interesting historical period of time since we started in 2000. And back then, what we call today independent wrestling was really a relatively new thing. In independent wrestling, to try to define it, if we were going to define the term independent wrestling is what cropped up in the place of wrestling territories prior to 1984, or really prior to 1990, because the territories were still around until about 1990, the early 90s anyway. And territories were, for the most part, full-time businesses, and the independent wrestling today really aren't full-time businesses at all. Really, they're mostly part-time businesses. And instead of a company covering a wide swath of an area like states or whatever, I mean, there are promotions that just cover one town or two towns or whatever. So it's definitely a changed landscape from that period of time, and that's what really independent wrestling is. So we were sort of more or less on the ground floor of that with NECW, and prior to that with NWA New England and the Century Wrestling Alliance.
Yeah, and kind of going off of that, I mean, you did mention, how the landscape in independent wrestling has changed so much. What do you think is the biggest difference from your perspective with NECW going back from 2000 to 2015?
Well, there's a bunch of them. I think that as to speak strictly as a promoter, the existence of social media has completely changed the way any kind of live events or any kind of anything is promoted. So that's a gigantic change in the way people get information about events and the way we promote our company and promote our business. That really didn't, for the most part, exist back in 2000. Also, I think that you know, there's a big generational change in terms of wrestling itself and the wrestlers themselves. You know, the idea of the journeyman wrestler is sort of coming back, but you know, the guys who wrestled in the territory days, who worked every single night, night after night in different places, that's gone. You know, the idea that you're learning from people that, you know, were craftsmen in their own way, has more or less disappeared. It's the level of teaching and the level of talent. There's a lot of great talent. There's a lot of great athletes today, but the level of teaching of those athletes, we find that in the course of what we do as a promotion, we end up doing a lot of teaching because people don't teach what we do. They don't teach the idea of, you know, having a series of matches to make a program, to get people to come month after month. They don't teach people really how to do promos and the art of television. They don't teach that at all, and that's what we do. So I find that we're more or less an extension of wrestling school in a lot of ways. And the talent that comes to us is maybe less prepared than the talent that came to us maybe, you know, 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah, I know. From watching some of the events and looking at the cards with NECW, I do see a lot of the loyalty that you mentioned. You know, you do see a lot of the same wrestlers appearing at the same events, sort of carrying those storylines along. And I think that's terrific for the organization because it allows for that familiarity. So for fans going to the events, they already know what the storyline is. They know why certain wrestlers are fighting over a title. And
right.
I think it allows, you know, for more like ticket sales, more attention on social media and things like that.
And, you know, to me, that's wrestling. That's what wrestling was and what wrestling really should be. You know, a lot of wrestling now is just, let's have a match. Let's have a match and let's do a bunch of stuff in that match. As opposed to, let's tell a story. This is the first chapter. This match is the first chapter in a story that may go many chapters, that may involve many different characters, and may take many different twists and turns. So the art of telling a story is really what NECW is bread and butter is. That's what we kind of do. You know, that's our thing is storytelling wrestling. And I've been really pleased with the way, particularly in this last year or so, the way the company shaped up, the way the roster shaped up. I think we have one of the strongest rosters that we've ever had at this particular time. And I'm looking forward to really good things going forward.
Yeah, no doubt. So in terms of recruiting talent and you know, trying to figure out who the next top superstar will be in NECW is, what is generally your philosophy with bringing talent along? What's something that will make a wrestler stick out in your eye?
Well, you know, usually they display that certain something, and that certain something is really difficult to define, whether it's a charisma or whether it's just a way that they connect with the audience. With different people, it's different things. I'll give you a very good example. A guy who was our champion for about a year, Brad Hollister. I mean, when Brad Hollister first showed up in NECW, he was a student of Antonio Thomas, and he wasn't even pushed to me. I saw him on another show, and I said, "There's something about this kid. I wanna do something with him." And you know, he almost instantly became someone that the people kind of gravitated towards, and he's become a top star in this company. And you know, he's come a long way in a short space of time. He's really, you know, he was put in a situation of carrying this company on top for a year, and he did a stellar job in doing it, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. You know, a guy who's really, really underrated, who I think is going to see emerge into a bigger role in NECW going forward, is Toto Loco.
Yeah.
The mask guy, who really, he's a terrific athlete, a terrific performer, somebody who is it's got a great deal of humility, and that sometimes that doesn't always work for people, but in his case it does. And he's just a stellar athlete, someone that I would put in the ring with anybody on the face of this planet, and he would hold up. So, no, there are just a couple of examples of people that have stepped into this company over the last couple of years who have really, really made some noise and are going to continue to make noise going forward.
Yeah, I think both of those men just have that it factor, that X factor that you were mentioning. I mean, not only do both have the wrestling ability, but they know how to pull on the strings of the audience. I know that Brad Hollister, he's very much a polarizing figure when he comes out there. I know a lot of times I kind of get like that split reaction from the crowd, but when you see him in the ring, he's pulling off some phenomenal suplexes and all sorts of very.
He was a state amateur champion. Wow. Before turning to professional wrestling. So he's got the background, he's got the pedigree, he's got that foundation that you seldom see anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in total.
I'll tell you another guy too, just if I don't want to leave him out.
Yeah.
If he listens to this, he's going to be ticked off that I left him out. And that's a young guy from Canada who wrestles as Genesis. And Genesis is a superstar in the making. Again, he's a guy that has a lot of humility. He's someone that I don't think he knows how really good he can be. But he's someone that has kind of become a project for me and somebody that I expect very big things out of down the road. So he's another one. And that's a kid who drives in every month from Montreal to work here.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's the kind of loyalty from talent that we have. He's just a great guy, terrific kid, and really someone who I am very high on.
So from like a promoter's perspective, say for instance like a guy like Genesis, how does his name come about to you? Do you see like highlights on the internet? Is it word of mouth? Do you have recruiters?
No. There was another guy that we were working with named Jeremy Prophet, who was from the same area. Mm-hmm. And he used to ride with him. We didn't even book the guy. He just came, And one day he says to me, well, I've got a friend here, and, I'd like to, maybe you could use him. And I'm like, okay. And this kid comes out, and I'm like, well, where were you hiding this kid? In the front of your car? What was going on? Why didn't you bring him out here before, So, sometimes it happens that way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that want to work here, that have made it known to me, that they want to work here. And they come from all over the country. I had a guy who wanted to work here from St. Louis. He says, I don't care. I'll come out every month. I said, you live in St. Louis. You live like, almost 2,000 miles away. How the hell are you going to get here? I can't fly him in. We don't have the economics to be able to do that. He's got a life and a job and people at home. And I appreciate that the kid wants to come out here and wrestle for NECW, but, maybe a one-shot deal, a one-off here and there, but, I mean, that's really flattering, too, that a guy would want to come all that way to work here, which, I think that many times what guys see online and see on our YouTube channel, they see that guys are getting programs and they're getting promos and, they're telling stories, and that's what they want to do. That's what they're not getting where they wrestle now. And so that's why they gravitate toward us. And again, it's very gratifying as a promoter to have people, want to go out of their way to work for you. So, and I try to, keep my eyes and ears out there as to different people around the country, people that I know, people who know me. We have people who've wrestled here from all kinds of places. Damian Wayne, who wrestles primarily in the Mid-Atlantic area down in Virginia and the Carolinas, we had him up here. Another promoter asked me to book him, which I was happy to do. And, we bring him in from time to time. He's one of the best workers in this country. Definitely a guy, if it were a different time and a different era, this guy would be a superstar, hands down. He should have been the NWA World Heavyweight Champion.
Wow.
Just terrific worker, a terrific guy, and somebody that I love to bring in just because I'm such a fan of his work. And he brings so much to a locker room because he's a bit of an older guy and he's a little bit more mature. So when you bring someone like that in, he's just a pleasure to have around. And another thing about wrestling locally, we're a local wrestling promotion. I believe in the idea of local wrestling, but I also believe in the idea that you add other pieces to that to make it interesting. So, yeah, most of the guys who work for us are local, but we got the guy that drives in from Canada every month. I got a guy that comes up from Virginia every now and then. I've got somebody that may come in overseas for a couple of shots. There's, when you do that, you make everybody that works for you better because they get to see different things. They get to experience different people and different styles. And that's something that the old territories used to do very well, but it's not done very well today. So when we can do it, I'm always looking for the opportunity to bring people in that really aren't from this area, that you don't really see around here. And I think that adds a lot to our product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. It's sort of like that perfect blend, You do have that local touch, but you are bringing the styles from other states and other countries and it's like sort of seeing like how all of these different styles and personalities are going to clash and work together, and I think we end up seeing a really terrific product out of it.
The reality is that a lot of our talent wrestles for other people, and sometimes you can see that some of them you can see in a lot of places. Some of them really only want to work for us. They really don't want to work for too many people. They might work for one or two, but it's a problem. You don't want to be the wrestler that everybody can see everywhere, because the idea of being a professional wrestler is that you need to be somebody that people are willing to pay money to see. If they can see you anywhere and everywhere, who cares? What's the point? A lot of people don't get that. They think that the idea is, let me wrestle as many matches as I can, and it doesn't matter if I'm, wrestling for Sheldon one day and for, another guy across the street the next day. At a certain point, you dilute your appeal, and that's something that isn't really taught in wrestling school today. How to become an attraction, how to become somebody that people want to pay money to see. That's something that we try to impart a little bit of that to the extent that we can.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Yeah, I definitely understand. Like, a lot of people, you could basically see them Friday somewhere, Saturday somewhere else, and then Sunday somewhere else. And a lot of these guys, it's really difficult for them to develop a character at all. It's more just, a lot of them are incredible talent as well, but they just don't get the time and opportunity to cut promos and to do things, and that's what I've always admired about NECW. I grew up watching you guys like I watched WWE basically. I admired this company before a lot of other companies, and it was just, I remember going down the park and seeing it and all the creativeness. I remember a 4th of July show. You guys had I believe it was a panda bear involved in the Royal Rumble, and I believe he got chased out almost towards the back of Walgreens, so that was kind of cool. Yeah, that was 2003 maybe, somewhere back then, but I've just always enjoyed your product. There's always a lot of laughs, and I think the guys bring a lot of emotion and character, and sometimes you'll go to your show and then you'll go to the show the night before where the guy's wrestling, and you'll be like, oh, I didn't know that guy had character, but then we'll step on your show, it's like you really see the potential that's hidden. Right. So,
yeah. One thing that we didn't touch on, which I wanted to bring up, is you guys missed it, but last month we relaunched our World Women's Wrestling promotion. Yep. And very, very excited about that. we've brought that back as a standalone proposition, and we're just really excited about having that back, and the response that it got from the people that were in attendance. Really, I was so gratified by the way that people embraced it and the comments that I got after the show from people that were there and people who were just so happy that they had World Women's Wrestling back. So, in the coming year, you're going to see a full schedule of Triple W events. We're going to be releasing the dates and the locations on those in the coming weeks. But that's something that I'm very excited about, something as a promoter that I'm actually very proud of. World Women's Wrestling is not a new thing. We started about 10 years ago, and when it first started, it kind of really took the area by storm in a lot of respects. It got an enormous amount of publicity. It developed a following, and what happened was, as time went on, just a number of girls either left the area or retired from wrestling or got signed or whatever, and it was like not so many girls. Now there's a new crop of girls that are coming up. There's some really exciting girls that we're bringing in from other places, and just that mixture of veteran talent and up and coming girls. I think it's such an interesting thing to see. If you've never been to an all women's wrestling event before, the idea that it's all women, it's kind of refreshing, So, as I say, I've always believed that women's wrestling was an underutilized asset. That if done correctly, you can do the same things that we do with the guys, but with women. The same kind of storytelling approach and so forth. And we've got a lot of young girls, some that are in the process of learning, but we've got a lot of great veterans as well, and a couple of roster tweaks, and this is going to be really a killer deal. I'm really proud of it. I'm really excited about it, and the next one I believe is going to be at the end of February. So again, I'll let you guys know specifically when it's going to be, and you really don't want to miss it because it's something special.
Yeah, we'll have to definitely come check it out. What inspired the thought behind World Women's Wrestling?
I will tell you the story. Back in 2002, I got a phone call from a friend of mine who was a photographer for a Japanese wrestling magazine. And he said to me, I've got this girl who wrestles in Japan, and she's coming to the United States. She's always wanted to wrestle in America, and she's going to be here for 3 months. She's going to stay at my house, and can you book her on your shows and kind of get her booked in different places up and down the East Coast and help her out? And I was happy to do it. Her name was Sumi Sakai. And it went a little bit further than that. There was a company that she was wrestling for in Japan at the time that actually co-sanctioned a championship with us. And the deal was that she would win the championship at the end and take it back to Japan. But she loved America so much that she came back, and now she lives here full time. But the first night that she was in, she had literally just gotten off the plane. And we had a show at the old Good Time Emporium in Somerville, Massachusetts, and we were doing a thing where the match was for this championship that she brought over the belt for. And it's hard to describe it in words. You have to kind of take my word for it. It is up online on our YouTube channel, which is NECW Wrestling, youtube.com/NECW Wrestling. We have a Best of World Women's Wrestling web series. It's 4 episodes. And the first episode is this exact match that I'm telling you about. The whole aura of it was so special. And Sumi was so engaging that in the back of my mind I said, one of these days, when there are enough girls around, I want to do a women's wrestling promotion. So she was the inspiration for it. And there was a period where it was really kind of a hot and heavy deal. The guys that I was in business with at the time were not as crazy about it as I was. They didn't hate it, but they didn't love it either. It's a different story now. I mean, our crew is 1,000% on board with it, and we're really going to do some special things with it. As I say, it's one of the things that I'm proudest of in my career as a wrestling promoter, and I just think you're going to see a lot of special things coming out of that in the coming year.
That's incredible. How long has World Women's Wrestling been out for? Like, when did you guys stop it?
We stopped the standalone shows in 2010. So it was like a 5-year hiatus, to bring it back. I mean, we've always recognized the World Women's Wrestling title. Mm-hmm. We continue to recognize that. We continue to have women's matches and promote women's matches through our programming, whether it was on broadcast television or online. But now we're going back to the actual standalone shows. And as I say, I'm very excited about it. I think that the fans are really going to enjoy it, and that it's really going to add something to the New England area, as it did 10 years ago when we first brought it out.
Yeah, and like back then as well, you had people in WWE like Trish and Lita that really made fans enjoy women's wrestling. Now you have people like Sasha Banks and Bayley, and so women's wrestling is kind of becoming the thing again. People are getting into it. So
Sasha Banks wrestled for this company.
Wow.
Before she became famous. So did Becky Lynch.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, she was another one who came over from Ireland. She was here for a visit and worked for us. And after that visit, I recommended her to Shimmer. And she started working in Shimmer on a regular basis. Then she had a serious injury and was out of wrestling for quite a while. But I'm so glad that she's back, and so glad that she's having the success that she's had. Sasha Banks wrestled for us under the name Mercedes KV. And I'll tell you, the minute I saw her, I said, this girl, better not get too attached to this girl, because she's going to be out of here. Mm-hmm. As soon as WWE gets wind of who this girl is and what she is and what she can do, they're going to grab her and not let go. And again, our company didn't really train her. She didn't have a whole lot of matches in our company, but I will tell you, I'm very proud of her, and I think that her success is really well deserved. And she's someone that is someone who's going to make a gigantic impact, and already is making a gigantic impact in the years to come. So we were very blessed to have her as a talent.
Wow, that's definitely impressive, having some of those big names going through NECW. And yeah, just looking at Sasha Banks, like you said, you see her and she has that natural talent. She has that X factor. She's very good on the microphone, but at the same time, she does have that technical skill. So
she was terrible on the microphone.
Oh, was she?
For us, absolutely horrible. And I'm trying to teach her about promos, and she said, yeah. Okay. Right. But, I'll say this. First of all, she's drop dead gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's athletic. She's the total package. And when I found out her cousin is Snoop Dogg, I said, forget it. She's gone. They're gonna grab her with both hands and not let go. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that's what happened.
Good for her.
Yep.
She deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
And she did it on her own merit. She didn't do it because she was somebody's cousin or somebody's whatever. She did it because she's a talent. Mm-hmm. And she earned that. And that's the best part of that story with her.
Yeah, I think at this point now people think of Snoop Dogg as Sasha Banks' cousin. She might be getting ready to eclipse him.
Probably so, yeah.
So with Triple W, do you have different types of championship belts? Is there like a women's championship, tag team championship? Are there a lot of titles set about?
Well, there's just the singles championship, Triple W title. In the not too distant future, we are going to add tag team titles.
Okay.
To that, I'm not a believer in having like a whole pile of belts in any company. I think that the less titles you have, the more special it is. And so, I would like to introduce tag team titles for that at some point within the next year. We are going to do some special things with it. There's a couple of people that have asked me if we were ever going to do a women's version of the Iron 8. That would be something pretty interesting. I don't know that we have all the horses for that race to run, but somewhere down the line, that or something like it, I think most definitely would be in the cards. But again, we have an interesting roster with this. We've got some girls that are really experienced and well-seasoned veteran talent, and we've got some young girls who are going to be something special, who are eager to learn, and it's just a really good mix. And again, I'm really excited about the prospects for that going forward.
And you guys also have is it Team Sea Stars?
Yes.
Yeah, so they'd be pretty good for the tag team division. They also did the recent Toys for Tots charity with you this past Saturday, right?
Yes. I'll tell you, they represented so well. One of the things that we got one of the feedback that we got from the show, the Sunday before last, was that, wow, those team stars, what great girls they are. What sweethearts they are. We really love them and all that. Mm-hmm. I mean, they got so much, even though they didn't win their match, they won the people over. Mm-hmm. And so I really wanted to have them in an appearance like this. That's another thing, when you work for NECW and we have opportunities like this, it makes the talent realize that they're more than just wrestlers, that they should be sports figures, that they should be personalities that represent not just our company but represent the business, and they are really a couple of special girls, and I think that they're going to do some really cool things in the not too distant future with us. They've been on our radar for quite a while. This was our first opportunity to work with them, and they certainly delivered. They certainly delivered, so hats off to them.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a wonderful event. Definitely very courteous and generous of the entire promotion and the women that were in attendance that carried it. So Sheldon, just in terms of your career path, what was it that led you into going into wrestling and specifically becoming a promoter? Was there a certain person that inspired you? Was it a certain promotion that led you down this path that really caught your eye?
Oh man, I had no designs on being a wrestling promoter. That was the furthest thing from my mind. My career, before I got involved in professional wrestling, was in the entertainment business in professional theater. I wrote, produced plays. I did publicity for Broadway shows and shows on tour. I really was a frustrated broadcaster. I wanted to be in broadcasting. It didn't work out for me, mostly because when you want to be in broadcasting, typically you start in a small market and you work your way up. But I was born and bred in Boston, which is not a small market. My parents were not well, so I really, my ability to move and go someplace small and start out was really kind of nil. So I kind of danced around it. I did different things. I ended up doing publicity for a local theater company, and I really caught on. And before I knew it, I was working with Broadway people and on national tours and pre-Broadway tryouts of shows that were going to Broadway. And I tried to make it as a producer. We did pretty well for quite a while. We had some pretty big successes. But I found myself as a producer doing more fundraising than actual producing, and that really I wasn't interested in that. I wanted to do the work. I didn't want to raise the money for somebody else to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't what it was all about for me. That business kind of sort of collapsed on itself, and I kind of didn't know what to do for a while. I started to dabble in different things, and I've been a wrestling fan since I was a kid. One of the things that I dabbled in was doing a newsletter for collectors of wrestling memorabilia, of all the crazy things. But through that, I reconnected with a lot of people that I knew in wrestling, and eventually, moved into working with promoters and then promoting myself. So it was not my design to be a wrestling promoter. It was something that happened quite by accident, and I don't regret it, obviously. But it's funny how life can take you in a direction that you didn't expect. But excuse me.
Yep.
When I really started getting involved with small promotions, a lot of my prior experience fit right in. I could write a press release. I knew how to promote live events. I knew how to operate a live event business because I had done it. So a lot of the skills that you would need to do something like this, I had coming in, and I felt comfortable doing it. I was able to realize some of the things that I wanted to do in my life that I wasn't able to do earlier. I got a career in broadcasting out of this. This gave me the career that I wanted to have when I was a kid. Apart from doing the television with NECW, I did 3 years of broadcast radio doing a wrestling talk show.
Wow.
On a local station here. Now everybody has a podcast. Before that,
Yeah.
I was doing this radio show on a 50,000 watt radio station, and we were getting, we were doing just online, 25,000 downloads a week.
Wow.
Plus, on the weeks that the show was live, we would literally crash the server every other week.
It's incredible.
So it was a great experience. This has given me so much as a person, and not just having the ability to do these things myself, but for having the opportunity to do things for others, to give other people the opportunity, to live their dreams out, the opportunity to be what they want to be, the opportunity to kind of grab the brass ring, whether it's for a moment or whether it's for a number of years. So I just feel very blessed to have had the opportunity to do this, not just for what it's done for me, but for what it's allowed me to do for other people. So I'm I don't know how much longer I'll be doing it. I'm not getting any younger here, but I'm just very, very grateful for the experience.
Yeah, like you said, it gives you an opportunity to give back, not only to the talent and giving them that chance to reach for the stars and achieve their dreams of becoming wrestlers, but also for fans, because there's a lot of fans that go to these events, especially kids and families, and they really immerse themselves in these storylines, and it's just it's a great form of entertainment. It gives people something to look forward to at the end of the week, or even like the Toys for Tots charity. So
yeah. What really kind of warms my heart and really is gratifying to me is you were talking about Team C Stars, and we're sitting there, and it's my first chance to have a real conversation with them. And we're doing this 3-hour autograph thing, and we're sitting there and we're talking. And I said, "So what made you want to get into wrestling?" So, NECW, Alexis Nevaeh, World Women's Wrestling. We saw that on YouTube. We want to do that.
Wow.
So you can imagine how that made me feel.
Yeah.
And they were so thrilled of actually being in it. They couldn't believe that they were in a locker room where it's all girls, and that they were the girls that they had inspired them to get into wrestling. They were on the other side of the room.
Wow.
So I just thought that was really a cool thing, and to have had a hand in people's careers, people that have gone on to bigger and better things, or people that have, have made a mark of some sort, or where it meant something to them in their life. I was fortunate enough to do that in theater, and I was equally fortunate enough to do that in wrestling. There's so many people that I've had a chance to help along the way, and one that comes to mind in particular is Fergal Devitt, who you know as Finn Balor. Back in 2005, he reached out to me and said, "Hey, my aunt and uncle live in Boston, and I want to come there for 3 months. And will you book me? And you help me out? I'm trying to wrestle in America. I really want to have that experience, and I'd like to send you some matches. And if you would see fit, I'd love to work for you." So he sends over a DVD with matches, and I knew instantly that this kid was going to be something special.
Yep.
It wasn't too hard to know because he was trained by the same guy that broke in Doug Williams.
Wow.
And that pedigree, and just what I saw, just the glimmers of things that I saw on his DVD, I thought this kid's special. And it's funny because when he came over here, the guy that was booking for me at the time, whose name was Bob Bevins, hated him. Didn't want anything to do with him. Thought he was a spot monkey.
Wow.
Like really, yeah. Just thought, tell him to go home. Not interested. Oh, I said, I can't do that. I already told him I'd help him out. So we're stuck with him. And so he came over, and his first match that he did for us, just everybody's jaw dropped. And the rest, as they say, is history. But he's someone that to this day says to me, you believed in me when nobody else did, and I'll never forget that. So, to hear stuff like that from people like that, it's very gratifying. It's very heartwarming.
Yeah, that's terrific, especially somebody like Finn Balor. I mean, I think that speaks numbers about his character too. Him being in NXT, the NXT champion, and he doesn't forget about the people that gave him the opportunities to get where he is. So, I mean,
he really is just a kind of a humble guy who, there was no doubt in my mind when I saw that DVD and I saw who trained him. When I took one look at the kid physically, I said, this kid's going to be one of the best wrestlers in the world. And it was just a matter of time. And, I'm so happy that he's in WWE now. He had 8 great years in Japan. And, he really, really made such a mark. I hope that the next 8 years for him will be 10 times as productive as the 8 that have just taken place.
Yeah.
He's just a superb guy and a great talent. And, he's the future of the business.
That's for sure.
I agree. He's really good. I've seen his matches with Samoa Joe. I believe he's fought Joe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Actually, I think that might be the next event. Oh yeah, they were in a tag team.
Yeah, I've seen him perform that crazy ladder match as well with Kevin Owens. Finn Balor is just awesome. And who would you say that any other NXT stars have worked with your company in the past?
Let's see. There's a girl who you haven't seen her yet. She's from Australia. The name they gave her is Billie Kay. She used to wrestle as Jessie McKay.
Yeah, I think
she's excellent.
I've seen her, I think, a few times in NXT. Maybe like in some of the dark matches.
Right. Have you been watching that Breaking Ground series?
Yeah, sure.
You know the girl from Canada, they call Noof?
Yeah, I think she was on the first episode of the second one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she wrestled for us. She had a match for us. She's from Toronto. She was someone who made a very big impression when she worked for us the one time. She really turned a lot of heads, not just because she's beautiful, but she turned a lot of heads because she was quite good. So I think she has a future as well. Trying to think who else.
Like you mentioned, Sasha Banks and Bailey. They, of course, went through the NXT and WWE system, so...
Right. Bailey never worked for us.
Or, sorry, not Bailey.
Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch, yes.
Right.
That's great. And you had a ton of talent come to your shows in the past, like Mick Foley, Killer Kowalski, Gangrel. So that was really cool. Scotty Too Hottie. Are you still having guest appearances by wrestlers?
Yeah. It's not the kind of thing that we normally do, but we don't rule it out. It would have to be the right situation.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really more focused on giving our local guys and girls and the people that we book on a regular basis, it's their show.
Yeah.
You know, if I were to book, you know, the Hardys or whatever, I mean, it would sort of defeat the purpose.
Yeah.
Your guys don't become stars unless you make them the stars. So that's you know, that's where that's at. That's my philosophy, and you know, I probably could have made a lot more money if I had done that, focused on stars, but it wouldn't have been as fun. It wouldn't have been as rewarding.
Yeah.
And you know.
It seems
I
like
no regrets.
Yeah, it seems like you guys are perfect at developing within the company and building future stars as well, both like in the ring and outside the ring. So.
You know, if you got enough money, you can hire anybody. You know, I mean, that doesn't take a lot of talent to do that. Nothing against companies that do that sort of thing, but I mean, to me, I look at what we do as talent. It takes talent to, you know, book people and create programs and write promos and make them the focus of things. Instead of just people showing up because XYZ big name is on the card, you know?
Yeah.
It's more challenging, but it's worth the effort.
Yeah.
Speaking of talent, is Slick Wagner Brown still wrestling with you guys?
Yes.
That's great. Yeah, we had him on the show. I think our first interview
was... he was our first guest. Yeah, he was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Great. He's a good guy. Somebody that, you know, there's another aspect. You know, we talked about people who are trying to make it, but we didn't talk about guys who just missed for whatever reason, that still have something to offer. And Wagner really falls into that category. You know, WWE, they can't hire everybody. WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, whatever, they can't hire everyone. But, you know, there's guys that for some reason, you know, they just didn't catch on, but in an NECW, they thrive.
Yeah.
You know, Wagner Brown is a perfect example of a guy who's a local star. He's athletic, he's charismatic, he's become quite the skilled performer. You know, he's not likely at his age and at this stage of his life to be signed by WWE or TNA or Ring of Honor. But he's somebody that you know can deliver at the top of the card, you know, for anybody he works for. So, you know, another guy that falls into that category too would be the NECW heavyweight champion, the Masshole Mike McCarthy. You know, McCarthy is in his 30s, and you know he's not going to WWE. He knows he's not going to WWE, but he has become a local star in the true sense of the word, and there's something to that. There should be that, you know.
Yeah.
Like any other sport, you know, it's not the National Red Sox or the Intergalactic Yankees or the you know the Global Braves or whatever. It's the Boston Red Sox, the New York Yankees. It's local.
Yeah.
You know, sports are local. You know, why can't wrestling be local too? You know, not saying that it should be one or the other. They can both coexist, but you know, uh, there's a. I think that you know there's a viability of this type of wrestling, this type of company that's going to rise in the coming years, just because of the way communication has changed. If you get a computer connection, and internet connection, and a camcorder and whatever, you can put up anything you want on YouTube. You can be a TV producer. So I mean, the fact that we're doing this stuff, we can reach thousands of people, without batting an eye. So I mean, there's the viability of this is becoming more and more of a possibility as time goes on. In a world that's dominated by WWE, independent wrestling does live, and I think it will continue to live.
Yep. And Sheldon, I think, kind of going off that note too, we'll end the interview with this next question. And I mean, you were talking about WWE and how they kind of are dominating the scene, but I think what I've noticed, and maybe Matt has noticed too with your company, the one thing that separates NECW from a lot of the other independent promotions, like you mentioned earlier, is that you do give that time for the talent to go on the microphone and cut a promo, and you do have these lengthy storylines, almost like, say, like a WWE. So, I mean, in your opinion, why do you think a lot of other independent promotions do just tend to, have their one-off matches, their sort of, one-on-one specials each month rather than building on storylines?
Because it's easier to do.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take a lot to throw two guys in the ring and say, "Here, go have a match." You fall off a ladder. You dive over the top rope. You do this. You do that. I'll do this spectacular thing. I'll do a swan dive off the roof or whatever. That's all they have to do. And that on the one hand, it's easy. On the other hand, it is what it is, and there's not a lot of depth to it. I personally, my personal preference, enjoy the depth of really being able to tell a story, being able to tell multiple stories, being able to develop people and bring them along. I think that's more of what wrestling needs than just a bunch of matches that don't mean anything.
Of course.
Yeah, definitely. When you can add that perfect mix of story, character, and a match that'll do justice to that storyline, it's the ultimate feeling, the ultimate reward.
Yeah, I mean, any good wrestling card should have a little bit of a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
You got your technical matches, your brawling matches, your your big angles, your just good solid matches. It takes maybe a little comedy sprinkled in there. It's like years ago they had a variety show on Sunday nights called The Ed Sullivan Show.
Mm-hmm.
And the secret to The Ed Sullivan Show, which was watched by most of America every Sunday night, was they had something for everybody.
Yeah.
They had the Broadway singer, they had the rock and roll acts, they had the R&B acts, they had something for kids, they had Broadway people, opera people, whatever, comedians. They gave you a little bit of everything, and everybody watched it. So, the idea in wrestling of giving people a little bit of a lot of different things. It's like a meal.
Yeah.
You need a good main course, yeah, absolutely. But if the side dishes are really outstanding and the dessert is great, you're gonna come back for another meal. So there you go.
I love that comparison.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, I know with some of us and our friends, when we want to go out to eat, it's like you can go out and just have your typical sandwich, but I think it's a lot more exciting when you can, say, sit down, you have your portion, you have your mixed vegetables, your mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, a little bit of everything, and I think it's a lot more enjoyable that way. So
good thing I already ate. I'd be hungry right now.
I'm gonna get some food after this.
Sounds good.
So Sheldon, just before you head out, you want to just give us some plugs on where fans can follow NECW on social media?
Absolutely. Well, you can follow us on our website at necw.tv. And don't worry if it doesn't come up. We're going to be redesigning the entire site very soon, and it'll be back up before you know it. You can also find us on Facebook, NECW Wrestling. You can find us on Twitter at NECW. And you can find us on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/NECW Wrestling. Lots of great content going back years up there. So check it all out and keep watching for us. And hopefully we'll see you guys at an event before too long.
All right.
It sounds great. Are you guys doing a talk show at all? I believe there was a talk show before on a local channel that would talk about you guys and your company, but I'm not sure if that was run through you guys or...
No. We used to do some podcasts here and there, but everybody here has a job in addition to doing wrestling and whatnot, so the timing of it is a little bit difficult. I miss that. I miss doing radio. I miss doing that sort of thing. So you never know.
Of course.
In the meantime, you guys fly the flag. I'll be happy to come on whenever you want me.
All right.
And,
it was a pleasure. Yeah, thanks for all the insight. Yeah, we really had a blast talking to you. So take care, and hopefully we'll see you down the road.
Right. Both of you guys have a really warm, safe, and happy holiday.
Thank
and
you.
all the
You as
people
well.
that are listening, just everyone have a great holiday. Be safe, and we'll see you in 2016.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Happy New Year, happy holidays, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Thanks,
All right.
you too.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Sheldon Goldberg, the one and only owner and promoter of NECW. It was definitely an honor talking to him.
Definitely was. And I'll shut the TV off so the camera will pick us up bright. So, definitely someone I look up to for sure, because I know we went to UMass as well, so that's something we got in common. He went to UMass Boston. I went to UMass Boston, and Dijak went to Amherst, you went to Amherst, so back-to-back guests, and they went to the same school as us. I've always kind of looked up to what he's done. I've always kind of followed him, and now to be able to do a podcast and to have him do an interview with us, it's kind of surreal in a way, because he's really good with communicating, and that's something I'm doing right now in marketing, and trying to keep our website up to date and get in touch with talent to do interviews. And so you got to really be care for people too and give back, and I really respect that about him. There's a lot of people that care more just about money, it's like business equals money, and that's all to it, money is important, but I appreciate and respect the fact that he sees a lot more behind a business. It's a way of giving back and and making friends, getting to know people. And that's why I've had such a great pleasure doing this podcast. The people we've met and have supported us. Yeah, it's just been incredible, from starting in a bedroom and not doing events and just me and you with two little food trays sitting in front of my TV. I mean, similar still, but we got a sign, we're doing events.
We have a microphone.
Yeah, we got great people like Sheldon and Drew Cordero and the wrestlers down at Beyond and NECW. Mm-hmm. They've been great. Yeah. Awesome support. So, I was very happy to have him on the show today.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to have him on again, and I think for that reason, I'm especially disappointed that the event was canceled this weekend, because, just, seeing all the things that Sheldon does to help others, whether it be fans or wrestlers or fellow promoters or just friends in general, family. Seems like he's a very generous guy, so I just kind of wish we could have gave back and helped promote this event this weekend, shown up, and maybe written an article, maybe gotten some of the wrestlers on the show, but
maybe I'll be able to give back. I am good at web design, and they probably go through a company, but if they need a couple of questions on, I run our website. I'm always willing. It's out there. If any wrestling promotion needs help, the little things on the website, I'm willing to go out there and help out. So yeah, definitely.
Good to know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Matt, it's Monday night. You know what that means.
Cowboys versus
What?
Redskins. If the Cowboys win, we're one game out of first place.
I thought you meant, like Sheamus, Roman Reigns,
Oh, I forgot about
Big Show. Shall I go on? Who else? King Barrett.
I can't wait for our podcast this week so we could talk about football.
Yeah, we'll have to have a debate about the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, Panthers, but the Buccaneers versus Saints this week. I say Bucs take it. Buccaneers have a top 10 defense. I was looking through it. Top 10 defense. Winston's improving. You got Mike Evans, Doug Martin. You get those weapons. I do say Carolina stays undefeated, though. You play the Falcons twice, and then maybe the Saints in between the two Falcons games. The last game's going to be the most difficult with the Bucs. The Bucs are pretty good, but I still think... but if you look at Carolina's schedule, too, the Packers and Seahawks, that's really been the only threats. I've looked at their schedule, and it's like... Well, they faced beat-up Cowboys.
Beat the Texans. Texans are a good team.
But
they weren't as good then, but they've been getting better.
They're beatable. The thing is, if the Panthers played the Patriots or Broncos or...
Oh, the Panthers would beat the Patriots. You always like to talk about matchups. This Panthers team matches up very well against the Patriots. It would be like that game with Kansas City and the Patriots last year. Yeah. I think the Panthers would probably beat the Patriots like 41-10. I don't want to see the Panthers make the Super Bowl for that reason. But especially the way the Patriots are right now with all the injuries.
But you got to look at the middle linebacker position. The Patriots.
Oh.
You guys have a good, solid... is Collins? Collins is playing. He's not injured, right? Jamie Collins, Gerard Mayo, Ian Hightower.
Mayo is injured, right?
Is he? I don't know, but I'm just speaking on from what I know.
Hightower gets injured a lot, too. So.
I don't follow the Patriots too often, but just looking at what you guys have, like the middle linebacker position, will be able to do a lot of spies on Cam, and that's going to prevent him. Shouldn't be worried about the other teams. You should be worried about the people within the Patriots that can prevent you, Cam. So, prevent Cam from competing. So
pretty much. I still think the Panthers would beat the Patriots like 41-10, but that's just me.
But the thing is, too, is with his receivers, Jericho Cotchery.
Greg Olsen, dude. Greg Olsen has like 900 yards on the year.
Sure, yeah, you get those guys, but...
Ted Ginn Jr., Teddy Heisman.
You get
Teddy drop every single pass that's thrown perfectly to me.
He actually caught a huge catch.
He did, but after having like 90 drops.
You get Ted Ginn and Cotchery, and the Patriot secondary isn't the best. It's like Malcolm Butler and...
it's a pretty big drop off. Logan Ryan.
Logan Ryan's pretty good, but then you have
it's like a B- secondary against like a C+ receiving core.
He's the brother of the kid from the Titans. He's like your free safety.
Oh, on the Patriots?
Yeah. Strong safety.
I can't
free
remember
safety.
his name.
I know you guys have Arrington. McCourty. McCourty's really good. You guys have a pretty good secondary, and I think it's enough to prevent those Panthers receivers. I don't know. I just think Cam would be kind of frozen with that middle linebacker core spying on him. So, we'd have to see. But even Chandler, too. You get Chandler.
Chandler Jones?
Defensive end, yeah.
Yeah, he's the one guy that's really been consistent all year. Other than that, a lot of injuries.
The only thing is defensive tackle. They got to step up their game a little bit. But luckily for them, the Panthers, they do have Jonathan Stewart, but it's not like a Le'Veon Bell. If they were playing the Steelers, I'd be a healthy Steelers. Right now, the Steelers' offense are just lighting it up. Antonio Brown and Martavis Bryant. Well, this has turned into a football podcast.
One last comment, and then we'll end it before we go on for too long. We'll save some stuff for Friday, our NFL talk. I love it when a team like the Steelers comes about the way they are now. It's almost like the Patriots in like 2007 maybe, when that team has that identity as being like a hard-nosed, defensive, punch-you-in-the-mouth type of team, and then all of a sudden they change.
Yeah.
And they become that offensive juggernaut. That happened with the Steelers maybe within like the last 2-3 years, where I think it was like suddenly with the decline of guys like Troy Polamalu and whoever, name everybody on their defense, Joey Porter and
Lamar Woodley, James Harrison.
James Harrison, yeah.
He's still there. He's still playing really well, but yeah, I know what you mean.
But when all those guys sort of went on the decline, suddenly Ben just got all those weapons, and they became an offensive juggernaut. And it was like the Patriots. Like, you look at the Patriots and Bill Belichick. He's this offensive genius. And, they were a great defensive team for about 3 years. Then, they kept some guys, but a lot of guys left. They, retired and so on and so on. And all of a sudden, Brady got all those weapons. He got that beautiful system. And suddenly the Patriots, I think they're still the highest scoring team in football.
Patriots?
Yeah. Look at these last couple of games.
So.
They've lost 2 in a row, but they put up a lot of points in defeat. So I think that is it for our Stack Hard interview. Thank you very much to Sheldon Goldberg. You can catch NECW on YouTube, on Facebook, and Twitter. Stay tuned for the next live event, hopefully coming soon in 2016. And other than that,
we're about to go watch Raw.
Yeah, you can catch NECW on Cozy TV, hopefully in April. But we're going to watch Monday Night Raw. Don't watch Raw. If you know what's good for you, listen to our show this Friday, because that'll be good for you.
We'll talk about, we'll probably go over the week in Raw, the week in WWE, talk about all the good stuff, and then we'll make it into some NFL talk.
Maybe South Park.
South Park. We missed South Park on our last show, so we're going to try to get it in this show.
Yeah.
But before this turns into a round and we go the whole hour and 50 minutes, we're going to
sign off. We love you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Bada bing, bada boom. How you doing?
It's become like your new line, huh?
Yeah, I try to out of tradition.
When did that start? Round 18?
I try to end all of them with "We love you" and "boom" and stuff, because like Joe Rogan has his sign off. He says, I'm not.
Where did you come up with yours?
Oh, that's just what's his Enzo Amore in NXT. That's his. Says, bada bing, bada boom. How you doing? And then the whole crowd chants, "How you doing?"
Hopefully they're doing well after listening to this and they're enjoying it.
Peace out.
Peace.
We love you. Big kiss, just like Joe Rogan says.
Yeet.